Episode 41. Whispers in the Dunes. The Sonoran Desert was a merciless expanse, a sea of dunes that shimmered under a sun that burned like a vengeful god. By 2070, its sands had swallowed the last traces of old Arizona, burying highways and suburbs beneath waves of silica and ash. The air was a dry furnace, sucking moisture from lungs with every breath, while the horizon flickered with heat mirages, phantom lakes, and ghost cities that taunted the desperate. Twisted cacti loomed like skeletal sentinels, their spines glinting with verdant's bioengineered venom, a gift from Earthward's border that could kill with a graze. The ground itself was treacherous, riddled with sinkholes and quicksand pits, masked by thin crusts of sand, waiting to drag the careless to a suffocating grave. Above, the sky was a bruised violet, streaked with ion trails from Nova Reach's orbital relays, a reminder that Helix's eyes never slept. Kane led the crew through this wasteland, hunching against the wind that whipped sand into his eyes. His boots, cracked and caked with dust, sank into the dunes, each step a fight against the desert's pull. The relay core, shielded in a quantum-dampened pack, thrummed against his spine, its pulse a mocking heartbeat that seemed to whisper, "You'll never make it back." His short-cropped hair, now streaked with sand, clung to his sweat-slick forehead, and his hands, calloused, knuckles bruised from the Harrier fight, gripped a scavenged machete, its blade chipped but sharp. Kane's mind was a whirlwind, fear gnawing at his soul, not just of death, but of vanishing into this void, leaving nothing behind. No legacy, no Sadie, no proof he'd ever fought for something more than survival. Sadie followed, her figure cutting through the haze like a razor. Her dark cargo pants were torn at the knees, revealing scraped skin, and her fitted shirt, once crisp, was stained with sweat and sand. Her hair, now braided tightly against the wind, gleamed with flecks of dust, and her jaw was set, lips chapped but resolute. She carried a compact pistol, its grip worn smooth by her steady hands, and a data pad strapped to her thigh, its screen flickering with topographic scans. Her eyes, sharp and searching, hid a flicker of dread. Not for the desert, but for Kane, for the man she'd pulled back from the edge only to fear he might slip away again. Aldus trudged behind, defying the desert's weight. His faded scarf, wrapped around his neck, fluttered like a tattered flag, and his boots, scuffed relics of countless digs, left deep prints in the sand. His face, lined with age, was half hidden by a pair of cracked goggles, their lenses reflecting the sun's glare. His hands, veined and trembling, clutched a hollow compass, its needle jittering toward the ruin site. Aldus's mind drifted to a memory that cut like glass, a dig in the Andes, decades ago, where he'd lost his daughter to a cave-in. Her laughter, her tiny hand in his, haunted him now. A reminder that failure here could bury more than his dreams. It could bury the family he'd found in this crew. Beckett Rhodes limped at Aldus's side, his explorer's gear shredded, exposing a thin torso marked with old tattoos. A star map across his ribs, faded but stark. His battered hat was gone, replaced by a scavenged bandana, its edges frayed, and his gray beard was matted with sand, giving him the look of a desert prophet. His sharp eyes, bloodshot from exhaustion, scanned the dunes, and his right hand, missing 2 fingers from a long-ago trap, gripped a shock staff, its tip sparking faintly. Jinx's thoughts spiraled to a night in Freeland's slums. Years back, when he'd sat with his late wife under a neon sky, promising her a life beyond the grind. Her death, the careless sin of a drunk driver, tore through him again here, fueling his need to see this quest through and not leave behind another failed promise. Wire brought up the rear. His silhouette created a thin shadow against the dunes. His leathers, patched with nanomesh, clung to his frame, and a dust-worn cloak billowed behind him, its edges burnt from a prior skirmish. His face, angular and weathered, was half covered by a rebreather mask, its filters whirring softly, and his cybernetic lenses, twin discs of polished chrome, whirred as they scanned for threats. A carbine hung across his chest, its barrel etched with kill marks, and his left hand, gloved in haptic tech, twitched with restless precision. Wire's mind flickered to a childhood in Nova Reach's Undercity, hiding from Helix's enforcers after his brother was neural wiped for hacking. The memory fueled his paranoia now. Every gust of sand, a potential ambush. Every shadow, a ghost of his past. The crew moved in tense silence, their path guided by Jinx's readings of the core's glyphs and Wire's knowledge of the Sonoran's hidden trails. The Auralith city, buried beneath dunes that shifted with cosmic storms, was close, its location tied to a star alignment due tonight, when Orion's belt would blaze in the eye of the serpent. But the desert was a predator, and Helix's rogue defenses, leftovers from the last war, stalked its depths. Stealth was their only shield, but the psychological weight of the wasteland pressed harder than the sun. A gust howled, flinging sand like shrapnel, and Kane signaled a halt behind a jagged outcrop of basalt. The crew crouched, breath ragged, as Wire's lenses caught a flicker. A patrol of Helix's Specter drones, spider-like machines with cloaking fields scuttling a mile east. Their lances could shred steel, and their AI cores hunted with relentless logic. Wire's growl was low, urgent. "Specters, 3 of them. Moving grid patterns, sniffing for quantum signals. Core's shield ain't perfect. We stay low. Move west through the gulch." Kane nodded, his machete tight in his grip, but his mind snagged on a memory that clawed up unbidden. He was 16, scavenging a war-torn factory in Freeland's Badlands, his first solo job. A drone had cornered him, sleek, merciless, its optics glowing like death's eyes. He'd hidden in a vent, heart hammering, as its claws scraped inches away. The fear had never left him, and now, with the core's pulse against his back, it surged again. What if I never get out? What if I drag them all down with me? He shoved it down, forcing his voice steady. "Gulch it is. Move quiet. No tech." The gulch was a narrow scar in the desert, its walls veined with petrified roots that glistened with verdant's venomous sap. The crew descended single file, boots slipping on loose shale. The silence broken only by the wind's low moan. Sadie's hand brushed Kane's arm, her touch a lifeline. But her own memory surfaced, sharp and raw. She was 22, in a Freeland ruin with Kane, their first kiss under a crumbling arch as rain fell like tears. He'd promised to stay, to build something real, but weeks later, he'd vanished, chasing a score. The betrayal had hardened her, and now, watching his back, she feared he'd slip away again. Not to a job, but to this desert. To a grave she couldn't reach. Her grip tightened on her pistol. "We're getting through this, Kane. All of us." Aldus stumbled, his goggles fogging, and Jinx steadied him, their eyes meeting briefly. Aldus's mind flashed to that Andes dig, the cave's rumble, his daughter's scream cut short. He'd clawed at the rubble until his hands bled, whispering her name, Clara, Clara, but found only silence. The desert's way now felt like that collapse, threatening to bury this crew, his new family. He adjusted his compass, voice hoarse. "The alignment's tonight. We're close. Keep moving." Jinx's own memory struck as he leaned on his shock staff, his bandana slipping to reveal a scar across his temple. He saw his wife, Mara, laughing in a Freeland bar, her eyes bright with dreams of a quiet life. He'd failed her, remembering how her body was crushed on the passenger side of his car, lifeless eyes staring right through him. The guilt drove him now, a need to make this quest count, to give Kane and Sadie the future he'd lost. He growled, "Watch the roots, venom's active." Steplight. Wire's lenses zipped around, catching a glint in the gulch's depths. A sinkhole, its edges crumbling, and beyond it, a faint hum of Specter drones circling back. His childhood fear surged. His brother's blank stare after Helix's wipe, a husk where a rebel had been. Wire had sworn never to be caught, never to lose another soul to the machine. His gloved hand signaled a detour, voice a clipped hiss. Sinkholes unstable. We climb the ridge, skirt the patrol. No noise. The ridge was a brutal ascent, its shale slopes crumbling under their weight, sand stinging their faces like needles. Kane's fear pulsed louder. You'll die here, alone, forgotten. He saw Sadie's face, her fierce love, and clung to it, pushing upward. Sadie's own dread, losing Kane again, fueled her climb, her hands bleeding as she gripped jagged stone. Aldus whispered Clara's name, a prayer to keep his resolve. Jinx saw Mara's smile, a beacon against the guilt. Wire's lenses locked on the horizon, his brother's ghost urging him to outrun Helix's reach. At the ridge's crest, they collapsed behind a cacti cluster, its spines dripping venom that sizzled on the sand. Wire's scanner pinged. The Specters had veered north, distracted by a false signal he'd planted with a decoy chip. The ruin site was close, a shallow valley where dunes parted to reveal basalt spires, their tips carved with Auralith glyphs, glowing faintly under the rising stars. Orion's belt blazed overhead, the eye of the serpent aligning, a cosmic clock ticking down. Kane's breath hitched, his fear a scream in his skull. I won't come back. I'll lose her, lose everything. He met Sadie's eyes with a silent nod and forced his voice steady. That's it. The city's gate. We move now before the drones loop back. Sadie's hand squeezed his, her voice a fierce whisper. We're not losing each other, Kane. Not here. Not ever. Aldus adjusted his goggles, his voice warm but urgent. The Auralith's built for survivors. We'll find the device, for Clara, for all of us. Jinx's grin was grim, his bandana tight. Let's make this count. For Mara, for Rook, for Zara. Wire's lenses glinted, his growl resolute. No trails, no ghosts. We get in, get out, or Helix buries us. The valley beckoned, its spires pulsing with ancient light. The Auralith city's entrance a shadow beneath the dunes. The crew descended, hearts pounding, memories a weight as heavy as the core. The desert watched with a predator's patience as they stepped toward a fate that could save or shatter their world. Somewhere, Gideon's Harriers regrouped. Xavier's bloodied resolve burned, and the core's pulse whispered a truth none could yet grasp.